Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at some Blue Ocean spec books that are associated with the Sandman series. This is actually the second installment that we've done in which we've looked specifically at Sandman. The first video that we dropped was done prior to the series being released on Netflix, and now that the series is out and the reviews are positive, we felt like this was a good time to revisit the topic by highlighting some additional books that are not yet on people's radar. Because this series is all about identifying deep blue ocean spec books, we're going to skip beyond all of those books that other folks have already spoken about, those books that are in Key Collector app. And we're going to look at some books that are not yet on the radar. They are not yet in Key Collector app. And if there is a second or third season of the Sandman series, these books could come into play. Now, what's important here is that these are deep blue ocean books. These are not necessarily books you want to rush out and buy right now without doing some additional research and thinking about it to make sure that it makes sense, because there's the potential that there won't be a second or third season. There's also the potential that the value of these books will not go up. So again, a few cautionary notes that I wanted to put out there. Before we get to the list or to the bonus book at the very end of this video, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the sponsor of this video. Today's sponsor, with over 20 years of experience in the industry, is Quality Comics, America's #1 vintage online comic book store. They specialize in rare and hard to find collectibles, including raw and graded comics. What makes them really special is that they offer these comics up for affordable prices. And starting today through the 28th of this month, they have marked down hundreds of CGC slabs to $99. They're also offering free shipping. They're doing all of this on their Hip Comic storefront, and that's the only place that you're going to find this deal. Hundreds of CGC comics for $99, free shipping on the Hip Comic platform. The link is in the description. Check it out. I think you're going to be impressed with the inventory and certainly with the prices. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the list. The very first comic on the list is Sandman issue number 18, published by DC Vertigo in 1990. Sandman issue number 18 features the first appearance of three interesting characters, the Gatekeepers. The Gatekeepers are mystical guardians of the dreaming, which is the realm of Morpheus, aka Dream, aka the Sandman. The Gatekeepers are side characters or creatures that are an important element of Neil Gaiman's imaginary world and therefore have a good chance of appearing throughout the Netflix series. The Gatekeepers certainly have their fans, and so far the CGI associated with these characters has been done right, and fingers crossed that that actually continues into the future. I should note that Sandman 18 is also a beloved story involving cats. Yes, you heard me right. This is a story that involves cats. Like, throughout the issue, there are cats. And so if you are a fan of cats, this is an issue that you definitely want to check out. Currently, the raw average sales price for Sandman issue number 18 is about $18. A high sale of a 9.8 hit a whopping $1,799 this year, and we're not exactly sure why that happened. I should mention that there is an error variant of this comic out there, and there is the possibility that the data is a little muddy and maybe a sale from an error variant was pulled in, and maybe that's why this sale is showing up in the data. That's what we think happened, because it doesn't quite make sense for this comic to be selling more than the other major keys in the title overall. One other possible explanation is that there are fewer than 40 blue label copies of this book on the CGC census, with a handful graded at a 9.8. And so maybe there's the possibility someone decided to pay a little bit more because they were working on a run or really wanted a 9.8 of Sandman issue number 18. Book number 2 is Sandman issue number 24, published by DC Vertigo in 1991. Sandman issue number 24 features the first appearances of Loki, Odin, Thor, and a cameo of the goddess Bass. No, not the Marvel characters, these are the Norse gods that appear in issue number 24. The Norse gods appear a few different times throughout the Sandman series, and at least one of the characters is an antagonist to Dream later on. Considering that this book has multiple first appearances, there are some chances that these characters could appear in the Netflix series, unless they need to make some changes because of confusion that might exist with Marvel characters. Who knows how any of this is going to play out. Again, these characters are important and they could possibly show up in season 2 or season 3. We'll have to see how it all plays out. Current raw sales average for Sandman issue number 24 is less than $10, while a 9.8 copy averages $199. There are a mere 34 universal blue label copies of this comic on the CGC census, with only 12 graded copies at a 9.8. Book number 3 is Sandman issue number 32, published in 1991. This book is another triple first appearance, introducing readers to Wanda, Foxglove, and Thessaly. All three of these characters are central to the A Game of You storyline, which is likely to show up in either season 2 or 3 of the Sandman Netflix series if the series follows the path of the comic. The character Thessaly is the third witch or fury. Foxglove is a songwriter, singer who gains fame and is an important character in multiple death-related comic spin-offs. And Wanda is an important character in the overall story of A Game of You. If Netflix moves in the direction of introducing A Game of You into the series, this book will undoubtedly be the book to get. And of course, there should be a corresponding increase in demand. Sandman issue number 32 has a current raw sales average of $9.22, but can still be found in dollar bins from time to time. The current FMV for a graded 9.8 is only $69. Like many of the other Sandman comics after the first 10 issues, there are not many graded copies on the CGC census. At present, there are roughly 45 total copies of this comic, with only 28 of them being a 9.8. I should probably also point out here that the FMVs that we've been mentioning throughout this video are actually derived from cover price. Part of the reason why Doug and I use cover price for this video is that they have values for both raw and graded comics. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the bonus book. The bonus book is one that I've actually mentioned before. It's a book that also has multiple first appearances that we highlighted in the first installment of this series. Specifically, we are talking about Sandman issue number 19. Despite this comic winning Neil Gaiman the World Fantasy Award for Fiction, despite this book containing multiple first appearances, despite the fact that there is an air variant of this comic, Sandman issue number 19 still isn't in Key Collector app. So if you're out there looking for the other books that I mentioned in this video, you definitely want to keep your eyes open for issue number 19 as well. With that said, we are going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch. I want to thank the sponsor of this video. And I, again, want to encourage you to head over to the Hip Comic platform. Check out the $99 slabs that are available. And if something strikes your fancy, go ahead and pick it up. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.